Okay, hey, what's going on, everybody? Aaron Yoon coming at you from New York City once again. Welcome to another episode of my day trading vlog. Today, we finally managed to get some profit out of the day, although, as usual, it's not nearly as much as it could have been. But there's a lot of stuff that happened today that was a big eye opener, and uh, a teaching moment or a learning moment, I should say, for me. I was in class this morning again, following one of you know former institutional trader. He's a CMT and everything like that, and um, following his trades yesterday was he had lost as much as I had lost, but today um, he made it all back, right? And he made I took mostly the same trades as him, and he made like 2 grand, but I only made like 170 because I was taking smaller size contracts, and so that's the thing, is like it's the same kind of move. It's just you add literally the difference between the only difference between what he did and what I did was that he got to add a zero to his wins, but he would also have added a zero to his losses. Um, so he's just playing 10 times bigger than I am. Um, that's why for me, like as soon as I get really rolling in with playing with these micros, taking 1 or 2 contracts at a time, taking 2 to 4 contracts at a time, then ultimately taking 5 to 6 or 7 contracts at a time, ultimately sets me up to do the same kind of moves as what he does and take regular contracts or the equivalent of 10 micro contracts at a time, and I'll be ready to, at least I won't be ready to trade at his level yet, but I'll be able to trade the same kind of value, the same kind of contracts as what he does, because he's got way more money than I do. So let's talk about the trades that he took today. The first of all, in the energies, this is a crazy move that I wasn't prepared for. And he didn't see it coming either. We did not expect this opening range breakout. At the beginning, we were looking at this in class off the 5 minute, and the consensus was that there was not a big profit zone. So the way that he does profit taking on an opening breakout trade is he's shooting for the overnight highs and lows. I didn't know that. So I definitely learned something new today. That's what he's shooting for. I usually go based on, is there enough room for me to get like a 2 to 1 or a 3 to 1, and I'll just take whatever I can get. So this was one of those cases where it's like too much information actually turned out to be, or knowing too much actually proved to be something that worked against you, because based on what we saw for our profit zones, this be like something like this. So starting from here, July 8th, the highs and lows were like up here and up here, right? So the idea was that, you know what, there's not enough room in the overnight highs and lows for there to be a profit that's worth taking on a zone, on a risk this big. So he's like, I'm barely gonna get like a 1 to 1 kind of thing here. Like, why bother? That was pretty much the consensus. I don't know where these red lines are coming from. Let's clean this up here. So this green line, the solid green line, is the upper quarter off of this red line here. But that's just my thing. He doesn't talk about quarters at all. I learned that from a completely different teacher. But so the dotted green lines here is the highs and lows. This is your opening range. This was the opening range right here. So he's like, okay, off the whoops, I keep doing this. So off this zone, this where like this takeoff area, right? This entry point. I don't have much room to go up or down. So he's like, no trade. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, because I want to be coachable. I want to be a good teacher, a good student, and all that. It's actually a little bit bigger. I want to be a good student and all that, and I want to at least do what he says until I understand it and I know enough to either disagree or do my own thing or do my own variation of it. But I guess sometimes ignorance is bliss, because if you just ignored his advice altogether, look at this crazy move you would have had all the way. Oh my God, this is thousands of dollars right here. This is at least $1,000 right here. So we missed out, and I was like, really? This is okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, and so I was just it was a moment of learning for me. Is like, okay, this is going for the overnight high and low is a target point. It certainly didn't mean anything today. I don't know. I didn't see any news or any crazy news or anything like that that happened today that made this behave this way. Anyway, so all this giant move all the way down, past the 40, all the way, it almost just hit the 30.25. Look at that. So like, I feel like the brokers kind of know the quarters, and they don't, like, people who are aiming. I feel like this is a common profit taking area. They're like, no, we're not going to give you that. We're going to make it retrace, and you're going to have to take less profit or whatever. We're not going to let you hit your target. I feel like, I don't know, the brokers are, because they can see everything that we do. They're evil. Like, they just take it away. Anyway, whatever. That's just conspiracy theory. I have no idea if they do that or not. I just know that they can see our orders, they can see our stops and our profit zones and everything like that. So it's part of the game, right? Being like, you're literally paying. We're literally playing poker against someone who can see our cards. And if they decide to get in on the game and aim for you, you're kind of screwed. So anyway, so this was a big FOMO moment, is my point. This massive FOMO. I'm like, are you kidding me? Your whole overnight low and high thing didn't work at all. Look at us. Look at the crazy ass move that you made us miss. But the lesson for me was also to let me get rid of this here. We don't need it anymore. The lesson there is in the emotional management and the mental game of, like, there were plenty of other places that I saw trades and I still didn't take it. So there's still a hesitancy of pulling the trigger a little bit more this week, because I had so many losses that I'm a little bit gun shy. Even though I was right, and like that, I don't know what's worse, if I'm just like, if I just take the trade and lose, at least I was in the game. If I take the trade or if I don't take the trade and then I end up winning, I feel like that's more stressful than taking a loss, even though taking a loss sucks like really bad. I don't know what's worse, and so I'm still wrestling with it. I'm still like kind of gun shy about it. But so that was one that was a trade that I didn't take, and I ended up regretting it. And I find a little bit of a part of my brain is blaming the teacher. He's like, nope, there's not enough reward here. We're not taking this trade. And I was like, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like, I feel like I'm that still happens to me anyway, a lot. But the big takeaway for me is that that repetition is the mother of all skill, and perfect practice makes perfect. It's not just practice makes perfect, because right now, if I notice that if I just keep doing the same thing, I'm just practicing hesitation. Not good, right? Even though sometimes we can think we're practicing one thing, but really we're enabling and strengthening a bad habit that we don't even realize is there. And so for me, the bad habit is still that that the past mistakes still come into play big time, and it I don't know how to I don't know how to change this other than to just, I guess, get more reps in, but I really need to get over the hesitation and the reluctance of taking trades that are in alignment with my rules anyway, and not second guess it pretty much. So, what else was there? What were the winners, right? Because I actually took profit today. You guys probably want to see the winners. The big winner today was off the Dow. So I almost rarely take the Dow. But we saw that, the opening 15-minute range, the ORC, I should say, is, where was it? Let's go to the 15-minute on the index here. And this is the opening range for the 15 minutes. Now, this is a giant level of risk. So what we do is we divide it up into 5 and pick the candle. Right, so instead of a 15-minute candle, we divide it up into 5 3-minute candles and pick the 3-minute candle that is the lowest, right? Because we saw it was definitely a bearish candle, so we're looking. I think it ended up being the last candle, the 942 to 945 candle right here. So that's where that drawing came from. This little orange zone. Did I get stopped out? No, I couldn't have. This doesn't make sense. I must have taken it bigger. I do remember at one point it being very, very close to being stopped out, and I was like, oh my god, today is going to be another one of those days. And then, very, very quickly, it turned back around, and I was like, thank god. I think this was the zone, and then, I placed and this is why we do this, is we give a little bit of breathing room and place the stop a little bit above, 2 or 3 ticks above the orange line to give it enough room to breathe, because this kind of stuff happens. It's actually pretty common. Alternatively, if I had just waited for a retrace, I would have gotten tagged right here. I would have gotten entered right here off of a. You could consider it more of a confirmation entry coming out of the zone, and I got in right here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was in, and I'm gonna give myself a little bit more credit here, because I did take multiple contracts, and I got to get 1 rep in. I can't remember the last time I did this. I just remember a bunch of the losses. I got 1 rep in of taking multiple contracts and taking profit on one, which was like $100 or something, and then taking profit on the second one for 200, or I don't know how the math is working out there, but ultimately I took 1 profit, and then I on the second one, I got stopped out. Well, we get to see it right here, actually. So I took profit here because I hit the first target. And then I also took profit here because it got stopped out on my according to my trailing stop strategy. So I did cut myself a little bit short, but I was letting it run. I was aiming for at least this dotted green line right here. But if I didn't get it, I kept moving my stop down to the high of the previous candle so that I am booking in, I'm guaranteeing in profits because, and good thing I did because it didn't, it's just been chopping around that area since then. So even if I held it and didn't move my stop and I held it till right now, I would have been in the same situation. But at least this way, it's over for me and I'm not nervous about it. I'm not like mentally stressing out over it. So, whoa. So that was my winner. So I had 2 winners off the Dow. Why did I short the Dow and not anything else? Well, if we go back to doing this, I'm going to hide the candles and bring in these lines. Turn this into a percentage. I'll go to the 5-minute chart just to whatever. Oh, let's get rid of this little drawing there. Let's place a dotted line on the 8 o'clock and move that over to 0 in at 8 a.m. You can see that well, actually this doesn't help my case at all, right? On the breakout, I guess the Russell was the weakest. At the time, though, we saw that the Dow was the weakest, like right around the 930 area. But like this is showing something different, huh? I guess I should have. Let's look at the Russell now. You saw there that the yellow line was the weakest. It dropped down the most, starting from and it's measuring in percentages. Right, so let's bring this back. So this is the Russell. Nope, this is the Dow. Let's look at the Russell. I guess it moved virtually identically to the Dow. It's just that when the Russell, like because the Russell is only like the Russell and Dow is calculated in such different values, like literally. This is more than the Russell is less than 1/10 of the points of the Dow, right? And so like to 1% movement for the Russell is 10 points or 13 points, whereas 1% movement for the Dow would be 250 points or 256 points in this case. So that's why the same percentage is gonna show a little bit is going to show up a little bit different, or rather the same kind of movement, the same proportional movement is going to show as a much different percentage, because it takes a lot more movement to actually create a increment of 0.01% on the Dow. So anyway, like I think it was about the same. Maybe I could have gotten a little bit more on the Russell in terms of profit, but today was pretty much just a day of following the leader, following the teacher. I was just in it for the ride, and I was just learning while I was focusing less on the trading and more just following the teacher and listening to what he's saying. And he's saying like, yeah, this is why you want to, and he said a lot of things that I won't repeat right now. He said a lot of things that made me feel like, okay, you know what, this is just, I felt really lousy the past couple of days because I just been taking loss after loss after loss, and even after today's even though today was a profitable day for the week, I am still very much in the red. I am still negative for the week, although overall I think I'm doing okay. Since I've started the vlog here, I am, I think, in profit by a little, but and I started to waver in my own confidence of like, okay, should I be doing something different and whatnot. And today I just got a lot of reinforcement to just sometimes just like that. This week has been a little bit choppy. There was more movement, and we were able to hop on for like a strong movement to the downside today. Um, but other than that, it was pretty much just sticking to my guns and making sure that I stick to my rules. Um, and I don't know if I'm gonna take the whole overnight high, overnight low target rule, unless I'm gonna be taking the like multiple contracts. So this is where he and I differ, because I'm taking smaller, like micro contracts, whereas he's taking standard contracts. So he might be taking one or two of those, and that would be enough. But I can easily have room for three or four micro contracts or mini contracts, and I wouldn't even be trading half as much risk making half as much profit as he is. So we're just on a different level. He's trading 10 times the amount that I am per trade, and I am dividing it up. It's like he's playing with dollars and I'm playing with dimes, right? So that's a good way of thinking about it. So I have a lot more room because I have like more flexibility because I can play with like 3 or 4 dimes, and he's doesn't want to deal with all that. He's just playing with the $1, right? So that's why he's up $2,000 today, and I'm only up a couple $100 today, and that's the difference. So I'm not really too worried about that. That will scale in the future. So so today, I mean, like I found myself, wanting to, like I was excited once I saw myself in profit, and I could tell that I was going to end the day in profit, and I was like, where else can I take a trade? Where else can I take a trade? And that's mentally a dangerous place for me to be, especially coming off losses. So I just kind of took myself away from the screen, and there were other opportunities. I did look back, and I was like, oh my God, look at this NASDAQ movement. Came right to this, let me see here. The NASDAQ dropped down just as all the other indexes did, all the other equities did, right to this major green line number. So the greens are like kind of strong, and the reds are the strongest to bounce price back, or where it's like a magnet, and where it attracts price and repels price, and look at that. This is perfect. Like this is why I love the quarters, because it's just psychological numbers. Another teacher that I was following today, another professional trader, he's even older. He has like 30 plus years of experience that I was following today. Also was talking about, he called it anchor numbers, right? Like strong psychological anchor numbers. Not exactly support and resistance, but like I don't know if he's familiar with the quarters theory or not, but certainly we were on the same page, even if we were calling it different things. But look at this. It just bounced right here and had no problem blowing past the green, although that's probably where I would have taken the profit. I would have taken like 100 points from this green to this green. And then once I saw that if it breaks above, the rule is take it again. But, understand that you're aiming for the red now, because the red is in your way. This is a strong bounce area. And look at this wick back. It almost bounced back, but it held, right? So that's pretty much it for today's video. I took my two winners came from the Dow. I took some losses in the energy trade for the in a nat gas trade that didn't really work out. You can see that I took a long here. It was just kind of bouncing around for a little bit, and then I took it off for the breakout. But the breakout, I didn't make as much as I could have here. I think I went for the long, and then I lost it, So I don't know why this didn't work. Not sure. Anyway, I wasn't really in my normal routine today. I was more in follow the teacher, because I had class today, and this is what happened. Like I just followed his lead, and I ended up with a trade that I wouldn't have normally taken, and I made some money, and I learned a couple of things. So that's about as much as I can hope for. You know, as it was a better day than the previous 3 days. So overall, I'm happy with it. So hopefully tomorrow I can continue. The It is a Friday, so it's going to be a little bit different, but hopefully we can break even for the week here by tomorrow, because I think I'm mentally a little bit more refreshed and ready to go. So that's it for today's video, and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you stay and hit the notification bell so that you can keep track on how I'm doing with this. And if you're taking the same kinds of trades, then great. I mean, you would have done better than me today if you took the normal kind of trades that I normally would take, just off the breakouts and the news release on the NatGas today. But you know, other than that, we'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned for the next video from YouTube. Take care, everyone.